back to the channel, Crafting and Crime Daily, the show where I recap live trials, unless I'm not recapping live trials, and then I bring you a true crime story, which is what we're going to have today. It's probably going to be a trial in the future. Stay tuned. The perpetrator in today's case was just arrested, officially arraigned March 30th, last Thursday. Yeah. So, what have I been up to? Oh my gosh. Had a fabulous weekend. Mowed the lawn. My whole body felt like jello afterwards. Yeah. I'm still trying to decide if that was a good idea. I was wiped. Yeah. But I'm okay now. Nothing hurts. I was just very, the muscles were like firing on all cylinders. Like, what are you doing, lady? Yeah. Anyway, I'm good. I worked on my cross stitch. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah. Sunday and Monday, I worked on my April gnome. Here it is. Isn't she cute? I'm going to do the male version too. Probably after I get back from my vacation. Yes, the channel's going to take a little vacation. I'll be filming while I'm on vacation. Of course, you're not going to miss a thing, right? Also, I am covering the trial of Lori and, well, not Chad. It was separated. Lori, what the heck is her name? Lori Daybell. Lori Vallow. She's had so many husbands, guys. I can't keep up. Lori Vallow Daybell. It started yesterday. So here's what's been going on out there in Idaho. Last week, the jurors, the potential jurors, were given questionnaires and they had to fill them out and then bring them by the courthouse. So all of last week, the attorneys and the judges were going through these questionnaires. So yesterday started jury selection. Now I've picked out 2 reporters that are in the courtroom. They're not actually in the courtroom. They're in an overflow room because they can't be in there during jury selection. Now, in order to get a seat in that courtroom, you have to reserve your seat every night. You have to go online and reserve a seat in the courtroom for the actual trial. But from what I understand from these reporters, the jury selection is going very, very quickly. They expected it to last all week, but that may not be the case. Yesterday, they ended up with 17 jurors that they're moving forward to the next phase, whatever that is. They're bringing in a couple more panels today to start questioning them. So yeah, it'll be interesting. What else is going on? Oh my goodness, I think that's it. I packed for the trip. Well, I started packing. You got to do the laundry. You got to figure out because it's still cold over there. I've got my spring dress on, but it's cold. One stayed over up in the mountains. Yeah, still pretty cold. So I was trying to figure out. I bring in the cat sweater, guys. Don't worry. Bring in the cat sweater. All right, let's talk about today's case. Today's case comes out of Aurora, Colorado. Aurora is the 3rd largest city in the state of Colorado after Boulder and Denver. Now, it's outside of Denver, southeast of Denver. It has over 400,000 residents and encompasses 3 different counties: Arapahoe County, Adams County, and Douglas County. The largest public employer in Aurora is Buckley Space Force. Yeah, I want to go there. It's Buckley Space Force Base. The median income for Aurora is $46,507 per year. Wow. So living in Aurora, Colorado, we're James Taylor Craig, Dr. James Tulliver Craig. He's 45 years old, and his wife, Angela Craig, she was 43 years old. Together, this couple had 6 children. Craig was a prominent dentist in the community. He owned and operated the dental practice known as Summerbrook Dental Group. Now, what we're going to talk about today is Angela. Angela Craig, 43 years old. She passed away in the afternoon of March 18th, and it is her death that brings us, the show today, why we're here, right? Now, Dr. Craig, he was in business with a gentleman named Ryan Redfern. Ryan and his wife, Michelle, they were very close to the Craigs. Ryan had gone to school with Dr. Craig, dental school. They'd known each other for over 20 years, so Ryan bought out his business. So he was like the silent partner. He didn't practice there. And Michelle, his wife, she had a PhD in nursing, which is going to come into play in this case. Now, on March 1st through the 5th, Angela, she was visiting her sister over in Utah. So she gets home on the 5th. But her sister said that the entire visit, Angela was not sick. She didn't report any symptoms of being ill, none whatsoever. On March 6th of 2023, a month ago, Angela first becomes sick and she goes to Parker Adventist Hospital. Now that morning, James and his wife had worked out, but before the workout, James decided he's going to make his wife, he's going to be a good doobie. He's going to make his wife a protein shake, and he's going to give her some extra protein because she's been feeling a little sluggish. After the workout, Angela complains that she's becoming faint and dizzy, and ultimately James ends up taking her to the hospital. So Angela goes to the ER. She, they treat her, they release her. They don't know what's wrong with her, but they treat her symptoms and then they release her. That same day, March 6th, an employee back at the Somerville Dental Group practice, she began to notice odd and strange things happening in the office. She found James Craig in the last exam room number 9, all the way down the hallway. He's not known to go into this, very rarely goes into that room, and very rarely uses computers other than the ones that are in his office, which includes his personal laptop. But she finds him in exam room 9 using the exam room computer. So she thought this was kind of strange. So she leaves for the day, and James is still there. Now, this is the same day he took his wife to the ER. He's still here futzing around on the computer and not home taking care of his wife. About 30 minutes after this employee leaves, she gets a text message from Dr. Craig. Now, in this text message, he tells her he's got a personal package that's coming to the office, and could she not open it, just and make sure it just gets put into his office when it comes in. Unfortunately, things didn't happen that way. On March 13th, one of the office attendants gets the package. She opens it. She takes it to the employee that's giving this report, the same one that noticed him in exam room 9. She gives it to that employee, and the employee recognizes that this is probably the package, because it's addressed to Dr. Craig. This is probably the package he was expecting, and she's going to repackage it and then put it in his office, so he doesn't know that they opened it. So while she's repackaging this delivery, she finds a packing slip that says potassium cyanide. Now, she doesn't recall ever having used potassium cyanide in the office setting. So she does what would we all do? We're like, let's Google it, right? When in doubt, Google it. So she looks it up on Google, potassium cyanide, to see what the uses are and things like that. So she starts reading the side effects of potassium cyanide. And she notes that the side effects are remarkably similar to the medical complaints that Angela had been having the past week, including nausea, vomiting, low blood pressure. So we're going to backtrack to what happened that prior week. We know she went to the hospital on March 6th. Well, she ends up going again on March 9th. She was complaining of constantly throwing up, and it was unclear to the medical people that were examining her what her diagnosis was. They just couldn't figure out what was wrong. Her blood pressure was really, really low. She remained hospitalized until March 14th. The very next day, she's not feeling well again. She's got a severe headache. So she calls her brother. Her brother takes her to a different hospital, University Hospital. She had been, like I said, having the headaches, and she was also complaining of being dizzy. So at approximately 2 p.m., Angela has an horrible seizure. She codes during the seizure. There's a lack of oxygen to the brain, and they end up placing her on life support. She is maintained on life support for the next 3 days, during which time they ascertained that she had no brain activity, and they withdrew life support, and she passed away on March 18th. So I'm going to read you some emails between Angela and Dr. Craig that you'll find very, very enlightening. He says, "Thank you so much for making my drink this morning. I just love you. I hope you have a great day, and I'm so glad you're back in town." "You're welcome, baby. I love you too. I think my body is not letting the caffeine this morning either. My stomach feels fine, but my head feels funny and dizzy. Very strange. It's been a week since caffeine for you. Maybe your body is saying no thank you. I did a full scoop of caffeine and a full big scoop of B vitamins. Is that how you normally take?" I'm super shaky. She says, "Oh no, I do a small scoop of the B vitamin mix. It feels really weird." "Oops, sorry, baby." She says, "That's okay. It'll wear off. I'm dizzy and my eyes don't want to focus, but I can get the stuff done that I need to this morning. Maybe you should lie down. I'm lying on my face on the mat in my room. You have a bed, you know." "I'm stinky. Just seems excessive for a little extra supplement." "Pearl is flying in this morning to see me. I totally forgot. I think she's flying out today too, though." That's what James said to her. I don't know who Pearl is. "I don't feel right in my head. Do I need to come home?" "No, this is just weird. I'm dizzy in my head and my eyes are working slowly and my body is responding slowly." He says, "That sounds really wrong. I'm going to come home. I don't like this." "You can't. You need to work. I'll throw on some clothes and sit with the girls and see if it goes away." He says, "Okay, I'm probably overacting, but I don't like that. I can cancel patients for the morning or move some to Dr. P if needed. So if you change your mind, let me know. Do we have a blood pressure cuff? You should try that and see if your blood pressure is low or something. Do you get lightheaded when you stand up?" "It feels more like I feel when I take heavy meds and everything adjusts and moves slowly. Like I'm moving in thick gel. My eyes are struggling to stay focused. Did you take your blood pressure?" Then he says, "I was plugging in your symptoms to Google and stroke matches some of what you're describing. Do you have weakness in your whole body or just one side? And is it both eyes or just one that feels blurry? It feels like my whole body and it's tingly and my eyes are struggling to focus. Are you still laying down?" "I got in my bed." "Okay, good. My whole body feels so heavy. Something's really wrong. I'm coming home with a blood pressure cuff. If nothing else, I can at least help the girls stay on track while you rest." Interestingly enough, he doesn't come home. He's found in the office later on that day. She says, "Please come get the dogs. Sorry, also I want to shower, but I'm worried." "Okay, I'll come help." Now maybe he helps and then he goes back to the office. Not sure. So again, on Monday, March 6th at 6:05 p.m., he writes to her, "I'm all done and headed home. How are you feeling?" Same. "Belle's making grilled cheese." "Thanks, Belle. I'm all done here and headed home now. I would like another blessing tonight if there's someone who could help." "Okay, I'm sure we can find someone." Now, this is Tuesday at 6:38 a.m. Now, she's already gone to the emergency room, come back home. "You don't have to miss work today. You don't have anywhere to go today, and the girls and I will be fine. I'm starting to think I'm just sick, and this is part of it. I'm going to try my popcorn and Dr. Walker this morning, and we'll see what we can do." He says, "I'm not sure your popcorn will do much, but you're welcome to try it." She says, PCP, I may just have Belle take me to urgent care this morning. I should have had you do that yesterday. The ER is useless. Sorry. He says, no, you're fine. It did help us rule out a lot of scarier things, so I'm glad we did it. She says, I'm kind of wondering if maybe I had a sinus infection and I didn't really even notice because I get so used to them and it's turned into an inner ear infection, and that's why it felt like it came on all of a sudden. He says, let's hope. So how are you feeling compared to yesterday now that you're up and moving around? Same. Geez, I'm not sure what you were expecting. I don't think this is a sleep thing. He says, I don't know either. I was hoping that maybe the worst of it is behind us and you were going to start feeling better over time, I guess. She says, did the ER give you any paperwork? He says, only the discharge paperwork on the island. It didn't have any of the blood work results or your MRI interpretation or the CT interpretation or even the glucose numbers. Since you are out and about, I really think you should go over there and see if you can get a copy of it. She says they were supposed to give us info on the patient portal so we could access it ourselves. He said, I didn't get any of that. Sorry, the patient portal discussion would have been something that happened before I got back. Kind of like between your MRI and being discharged. So it sounds like he left her in the ER and then came back. That's okay, I'll take care of it. I don't want to tell you, but I feel like you would be upset if I don't, but I may have passed out a little this morning while standing in the kitchen. I just remember holding onto the island because I was dizzy, and then Violet in my face saying, Mommy. He says, thank you for telling me. That would have been a good moment to call 911. She says, I just waited for Belle. It's weird because my eyes seem to be focusing better today. Well, that's good, I guess. I woke up with a headache and spits in my eyes. Spots went away. Headache's still there. Sorry, baby, that sounds awful. Your family is out of control, but hilarious. She says, I'm aware of both of those things. Blood sugar only 97 today. He says, wow, that's weird. A1C? She says, not doing urine test here. They recommend I go back to the ER, but my A1C was normal yesterday, right? Isn't that what the ketones are? Never mind. She told me they don't have the capability to do that test, but my PCP should. So it looks like she went on the 7th to an urgent care center. She says, I'm tired. How did your talk with Matt go? I need a new PCP. He says, it went fine. He says this sounds like diabetes to him. He said, when your sugars are high, the lens in your eye expands and makes it hard to focus. You can get mental confusion and become really tired and weak. And he said it would explain the audio disturbances you've had too. He is really disappointing that the ER let you go without at least giving you some insulin. He said that we need to find a PCP and call them and say that you are a new diabetic and you need to be seen sooner than later. He's hoping somebody could get you in as early as today or tomorrow. She says, my doctor can get me in Thursday or Friday, but not before that. I don't want to be a new diabetic, so I would really rather not say those words. Tell Matt to stick it. What should I do? He says, let's plan on Thursday or Friday then. She says, I went ahead and scheduled it for 3 o'clock on Friday because that's when I would have a ride. Do you think I should change it to Thursday? My head is killing me and I'm so tired. Making these decisions is really hard. He says, I think you should do it on Thursday. I'm sorry your head hurts so bad. I can't drive and nobody's here to take me. He says, I can find you a ride. What time could you get the appointment for? She says, I'll call back and find a ride and someone to watch the kids. He says, I may be able to help with that depending on what time. Actually, Dr. P is out Thursday, so maybe just stick to Friday. Too late, I changed it. So she's got an appointment on Thursday. So now this is still Tuesday, March 7th at 11:39 a.m. She says, on top of all this, I'm pretty sure I have sinus infection. He says, could you please, he says, would you like me to call in a Z-Pack for you? She says, that would be great. Sorry, meant to say that. He says, on it. She says, the PA at the urgent care called in a prescription for some kind of medication that's supposed to help with dizziness. I guess we could pick it up, but I wonder if it helps with dizziness caused by high blood chair. I don't know how any of that works. He says, I love you. It was so nice hanging out with you and just watching a show and snuggling. So this is Tuesday, March 7th at 2:07 p.m. So it sounds like he comes home, he picks up the dizziness medication, and now he's texting her. I love you. It was so nice hanging out with you and just watching a show and snuggling. I'm sorry that you still aren't feeling well and that you feel like I'm disappointed about that. I'm not disappointed at all, just feeling empathy for how hard this must be for you. Hopefully things can improve and get better. I am also so grateful that the last couple of days have allowed me to have more flexibility in my schedule. God really knows what he's doing. Are you feeling anything in particular for dinner tonight or this week? She says, I'm having a hard time feeling okay being sick and an even harder time knowing whether that's me or you. I could tell you were worried yesterday, but I guess I just think they sent us home and said nothing was wrong. And you think I should be fine. I realize I could be reliving the past. It's just hard. And frankly, all of this is really scary. And I don't feel like we've addressed that at all. But I don't even remember most of yesterday. So maybe we did address it. I'm a crazy person. I'm not feeling anything particular about food right now. Tony's sending dinner tonight. He says, oh good. What's she sending and when will it arrive? She says, Panera, 6:30. He says, I'm on my way. Now, what she is referring to is 5 or 6 years ago, Dr. Craig tried to poison her. And the reason he said he did this was so that he could make her unconscious while he goes into the bathroom and injects himself and tries to commit suicide. That's his reasoning. So he's done this to her in the past. Wednesday, March 10th at 7:29 a.m. Will you please let me know when you're up? I'm nervous about it, just being you and the little ones today. I'm thinking about being up. Julia's coming for Vi later today. Oh, good. What about Nora? She wants to play online with her friends, drinking my drink and sitting on the couch with my ice pack and 2 anxious dogs. No blurred vision or dizziness or anything, mostly just the headache. He says, I guess that's an improvement over the last few days. She said, it's possible the headache will go away and I'll feel okay today. So yes. And my sinuses are cleared out and draining. I can breathe again, but it's making everything taste gross. I'm sorry, but that also sounds like good news. She says, it's okay. It will go away. Just wanted to update you, and I'm hoping you don't worry today. And another thing, my nose hurts. Maybe next time I'm delirious and I have an IV wrap, you should remove it for me because I punch myself in the nose. I would really appreciate that. He says, I'll make a mental note of that. How are you today? He says, so busy. I'm planning to come home and eat lunch with you though. She says, am I eating lunch? I'll need to gear up for that. I'm glad I get to see you. He says, I'm glad too. I'll need to ask you what you're hungry for and bring it to you. I'm kind of feeling just a smoothie or something. Sure he is, a smoothie. Okay. I'm not feeling anything. Don't bring anything. I'll eat something here. He says, how's your headache? She says, better, but it still hurts. I probably just need a shower and some sleep and some food. Noon, 12:11 p.m. She says, hi, baby. I love your face. He says, how are you doing? Good. Just waiting for Julia. I'm trying to share my vital stats with you so you can see something even if I'm asleep. But my head hurts and the blood pressure one is making it worse. He says, the blood pressure one. She said, I would need a separate blood pressure app, I think, but I'm not really sure. He says, is Belle home yet? And she says, just got here. You okay? He says, yep, checking in on you, checking in again. How are you doing? You're scary. So I guess he didn't come home for lunch. Sorry, baby, I fell asleep on the couch. Then I woke up. Now I'm hungry. He says, I waited an entire minute, Ange. She says, thank you for checking on me. I love you. He says, I love you too. I like checking on you. How you doing? So then he gets a screenshot of her vitals. She says, he goes on to say, I'm going to trust that you are just sleeping and not dead somewhere. I just finished up with what I needed to do at work. I just left the office. I'm going to stop at King's Supers on my way home and grab a couple of ingredients to make dinner tonight. Love you. Oh, he's making dinner. Okay, all done with groceries. I'm headed home to make you some dinner. How are you doing? She says, I feel super tired, but I left my phone on my lap, so I hope I feel it if you text. He says, okay, thanks. He says, are you nauseous? I'm reading up on low blood pressure. She says, not today. I'm cold, super tired, weak, shaky, and dizzy. He says, super thirsty? I've been drinking stuff all morning, so who knows? She said, he says, blurred vision. She says, no. He says, I'm having a hard time concentrating this morning. She says, I'm sorry, I'm just sleepy. He says, that's okay. You don't have to say sorry. How are you doing now? She says, I had Nikki bring over a glucometer tomorrow. I'm at 179 right now. I'll check again soon. I'm feeling like I did when you left. He says, okay, so high sugar. She says, yes. And then he says, did you leave the glucometer? And she says, yes. Did you eat anything this morning, baby? Ange, are you there? She says, hi, baby, sleeping. He says, whew. She says, I ate my protein fables and some crackers. I'm down to 140, but feeling pretty crappy. He says, I'm sorry you're feeling so crappy. I hope they figure this out. How are you doing? Now, this is Thursday, March 9th at 3:32 p.m. Man, baby, you've got to stop scaring me like this. I love you so much, and I'm not used to all this excitement. She says, I promised you cardio. I'm in room 212. So between the last time they text and now, she has been hospitalized. So this is March 9th when she goes back to the hospital. She says, Viv just texted about dinner tomorrow and my head is killing me. Can you please respond to them? He says, on it. She says, the nurse thought I needed more than Tylenol for my head, so the doctor gave me tramadol. Ooh, that's good stuff. My question for you, if we're measuring my vitals to see what's affecting them and what's not, wouldn't giving me oxygen when my stats go down mess that up? He says, absolutely it would. I'm telling you, I have lost almost all my faith in that hospital. She says, and I'm going to ask the nurse that just came on shift if they're supposed to be checking my urine and blood glucose. He says, have you been able to ask the question yet? Are you doing okay? Yes, I fell asleep. She hasn't come back in yet. He says, I feel a lot less anxiety knowing that you are hooked up to monitors, and if I can get a hold of you, it's not because you are dead. That's creepy. Sorry. She says, so there was a link in my IV line. I think she meant kink. And it's been beeping forever and nobody has come in. Are they monitoring this? Just a sec. Blood sugar 134, blood pressure 78 over 55. That's really low. The doctor down in the ER had no idea what she was talking about. They're going to be in here every few hours to monitor my blood pressure and my blood sugar. The blood sugar part I should have expected. The only thing this machine that I'm hooked up to is monitoring is my heart rate and my oxygen saturation. He said, I'm glad they're watching it. She says, I'm glad you're glad. I'm exhausted and sitting here feeling like crying because I know I'm not going to get any sleep. He said, I'm so sorry. I hate that. She says, this is Friday, March 10th at 10:32 a.m. She's still in the hospital. Ditch, what are you doing? Oh, no. Buddy. He says, Kenny Hansen is already bringing dinner tonight. But if Barb would like to do tomorrow night, that would be great. She says, can you text Barb? He says, done. How did the orthostatic vitals come back? So she texts him what the vitals were, and looks pretty low. Wow, standing is really a cardiovascular workout for you. She says, I think you're in, he says, I think you're in zone 3 there. She says, my head hurts so bad. He says, I'm so sorry. Have they given you anything for it? I'm going to lay down for about an hour in case you are trying to reach me. She says, I just took tramadol. Is your headache any better? We are headed to the orthodontist now. She says, a tiny bit, but not really. He says, I'm so sorry. Have any of the other test results come back yet? Also, have the doctor said if you're going home or not today? She says, everything was negative or normal. They just did an ultrasound of my heart. She said she could send me home or keep me and watch me at my blood pressure. One sec. He said, just tried to reach you. This is at 4:13 p.m. in the afternoon, but went to voicemail. I hope that means you're getting some rest finally. I plan to bring the girls up a little bit after 5 o'clock. We probably won't stay super long with everybody there because Cleo has a hangout with a couple of her friends at our house tonight at 6. Plus, it gets to be a little bit wild and crazy with everybody in there at the same time, and I know that your headache probably doesn't appreciate that. By the way, if you have any insight for me on what you would prefer in terms of visitation, let me know. It's really hard to read you, and I don't know if you like having us come up and visit or if it just makes it hard because you have to talk and think, and we are noisy. I also really know if you like when I come up or what you would prefer. I want to do what you want. She says, I'm working on stretching right now in the hopes that my head will feel better. They gave me a bunch of meds for my headache and my heartburn. I do like seeing you guys, but you're right. When my head hurts, it's hard to have a lot of people in here making a lot of noise. I love having you here. I just don't want to wear you out trying to take care of everything at home and be here with me. He says, I'm fine. It's really busy and crazy. But that's always the case when you're not around. I want to be there with you 24/7. I love you and miss you, and I'm so worried. I wish you were healthy enough to come home tonight and snuggle me. But thank you for staying so that I can feel like you're being cared for by professionals. She says, please bring deodorant. He says, I love you. I'm excited to have you home again. This is Friday, March 10th at 7:03 p.m. He says, I love you. I'm excited to have you home again. I'm kind of feeling a little bit like I'm drowning, but I'm doing my best. She says, I'm sure you're doing great. So my blood pressure was just 145/73. I can't. He says, oh my gosh. She says, I'm going to head over and hang out with you for about an hour or so if you're okay with that. Or I should say I'm going to hang out with you until I feel like I'm falling asleep, and then we'll come back home and do exactly that. But I want to see you again today. She says, I love that idea. He says, how are you feeling? She says, meh, the nausea's back, but my head doesn't hurt so much. He says, well, we will take what we can get, right? She says, if you haven't left yet, please don't forget to bring me a t-shirt. These long sleeves are making my vitals a little rough. He says, I already left, but I also remember the t-shirt. She says, thank you, baby. Now, this is Friday, March 10th at 8:59 p.m. Thank you for coming back. I miss you so much, and it's nice to have some time. I love you. He says, you're welcome. I wish I could have stayed longer. I love you. I am so glad you seem to be doing better. I hope you're able to at least get some water or crystal light down. I just woke up dreaming about making love to you. I love you and I want you. That's Saturday, March 11th at 12:32 a.m. Then that Saturday at 7:14 a.m., so just after midnight was the previous one. He says, good morning. How are you feeling? She says, bring a couple of pairs just in case. I don't know what pairs of what, maybe underwear. He says, okay, I forgot to ask, how's your blood pressure been? She says, he says, please let me know when the doctor comes in. She's coming in now. He says, I wonder if we should request a cardiologist or nephrologist consultation. Later on, she says, they gave me heartburn meds, and I think I slept for a little while. He says, yay, we're here. Now at 3:14 p.m. she says, have you been updating the big kids at all? He says, yes. She says, thank you. He says, how did the scan turn out? She says, head of emergency surgery just left. Gallbladder is slightly distended, but that happens when you don't eat. He said he doesn't think my issue is surgical, and he's going to look through my charts, talk to the doctor on the floor, and see what kind of plan they can come up with. He says, I guess that's more good news, that there's not something seriously wrong with you. I mean, that came out wrong. I guess what I mean is I'm glad they don't see anything obviously surgically wrong. How are you feeling? This is at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Nauseous. He says, I'm so sorry. Have you been able to keep anything down? She says, I haven't even tried. Now, later on, he says, can I bring you anything when I come tonight? She says, I think I have everything. Thank you. He says, that's not true. You don't have me. Although I guess when I come, I will probably bring me. She says, they put me back on fluids. He says, do you know why? She says, no. Blood pressure? No. It's been fine. He says, that's so weird. So weird. I'm sorry. More puffiness probably. Have you been peeing a lot? She says, yes. He says, that's good, I guess. Been able to eat? She said, I had half a cracker. I'm waiting it out. 135 over 74. He says, geez, that's actually high for you. She says, I know. Okay, maybe when you come, bring some very simple chicken noodle soup. I'll try to eat something. She says, I'm going to try some broth in a minute and see how I do. He says, okay, I can do that. And maybe some Vicks. Gotcha. Any meth? She says, I think I'm good. He says, do they have a microwave or something there? I'm wondering if I should bring you like a simple cup of soup that you can microwave, or if I should just bring like a box of chicken broth. What are you thinking? She says, maybe something that could be warmed up. They have a microwave. I'm almost done with the broth they brought me. We'll see how that goes. He says, I'm finally heading up. I totally forgot the Vicks, but I plan to come back later tonight. Anyway, I can bring it then. I just got lots of nausea and heartburn meds. Maybe the broth will stay down. He says, that's great timing. You should try to eat some more broth and maybe some Crystal Light or some water or something. When they discharge you, I would like to see if they would consider leaving your IV in. I have IV Zofran, and I would have fluids at the office so I could manage some of that at home if we ever needed to. Plus, if we do end up having to go back to the hospital, it would be nice not to have to start another line. Oh, I am sure he would love to have that IV left in her. Oh my God. No hospital's going to do that. She said, I hate my IVs. They kind of hurt, but we can see if that would make you feel better. So on Sunday at 8:14 a.m., morning baby, are you up? She says, yes. I hear last night was a little crazy. He says, yes, it was for about 2 hours. How are you doing this morning? She says, I feel groggy and drugged. They have my butt alarm on. I don't get up or they'll come in. I didn't throw up. Yay for not throwing up. Now, I wonder if he put anything in the chicken broth that he brought her. Huh. She says, I'm trying some cream of wheat this morning. He says, okay, let's do this. She says, so far so good. It just occurred to me that I have not brought you any flowers while you're in the hospital. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that I skipped my notice. I think it's because I kept expecting them to let you go at any moment. If I had known you were going to be there this long, I probably would have done a better job with that. It's okay. I don't need flowers. Clean underwear, blue and gray pajama pants, pink shaver, pink or teal t-shirt, Pilates socks, plastic bag for dirty clothes. Skip the flowers. Were you wanting me to go home and gather these things and bring them right back, or is it okay to bring them the next time I come down? She says, I like them as soon as possible. I feel kind of gross. He says, okay, I'll drop off the kids at home and I'll grab that stuff and bring it right back. Where would I find the blue and gray pajama pants and the pink or teal t-shirts? She says, the girls know what I mean in case you don't. Pajama pants on the shelf in my closet, t-shirts hanging up. My duffel should be in there too. Also, travel size soap. He says, noted. She says, blood pressure 114/81. I have a low grade fever. He says, man, your blood pressure is all over the board. Somebody needs to tell your brain to get it together. I've been trying to, she says, I've been saying that forever. My pulse ox doesn't want to work. He says, maybe you don't have a pulse. She says, maybe I'm a vampire. They keep taking all my blood. Okay, I'm trying a sandwich. Wish me luck. He says, coming up, me, that is, hopefully not the sandwich. She says, thank you, baby. This is Sunday at 2:28 p.m. I hope the EEG is going okay, and I hope you were able to get cleaned up in the other ways that you hope are able to get cleaned up. I'm hoping you were able to get cleaned up in the other ways that you wanted to besides just your hair. I'm going to lay down for a while, not sure how long. I would think somewhere between an hour and a half and a week would do the trick. She says, my brain is normal, so there. I hope you're getting some sleep. I miss you. He says, I'm awake now, so now what? She says, he went to consult with my doctor and to get to watch Big Bang Theory, and I get to watch Big Bang Theory. What are you doing? Not much. I just woke up from my nap, and I think dinner is going to be here in about 10 minutes. They said about 5:15 and 5:30. Do you think they will let you come home tonight, or do you think you have to stay one more night? She says, nobody has said, but I haven't seen my doctor yet, but I ate my sandwich. He says, well, look at you. Nauseous? She says, a little, but not vomit worthy. He says, that's a huge improvement. She says, I miss you. He says, I miss you so much. When are you coming back? He says, I thought about 6:30, if that's okay. I was going to wait for Belle to get home from Tipple Prep to see who wants to come with me and who doesn't. She says, okay. He says, are they going to let you come home tonight? And she says, no. And he says, why not? And she says, because of last night. Interesting how every time he comes to visit, she doesn't have a good night. She gets sick again. Interesting. So these emails are voluminous. There's lots more. I mean, this keeps going on and on and on during this entire hospitalization. She's hospitalized between March 9th and she's not discharged until March 14th. So the next day, March 15th, we know Angela goes back to another hospital. She goes to University Hospital. Well, James calls up his good friend. He texts his good friend, Ryan Redfern, and his wife, Michelle, informing them that Angela has been taken to University Hospital and she is in grave condition. So Ryan and Michelle respond to University Hospital. They take separate vehicles. They get there. And while they're visiting, or while they're there to see Angela, James Craig takes a phone call from a doctor. So while he's on the phone with the doctor, Ryan gets the attending nurse aside and he lets her know that he has a suspicion that Angela may be the possible victim of a poisoning. He explains to her that James had ordered potassium cyanide delivered to the office and that there is no medical reason. Nobody uses potassium cyanide at that office. So as a mandatory reporter, this nurse calls the police. They get involved, and I'm going to tell you how this investigation played out tomorrow in part 2 of the story of Dr. James Craig for the murder of his wife, Angela Craig. Yep, stay tuned. See you then. Bye.